Hi friends, this is the new spot for my recording studio, so I just wanted to take you through and have a look at some of the basic kind of plans and what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks. For those that are interested, I think it'll be quite fun to kind of see what I've come up with and working out the plan and all those kinds of things. So what I've got here is a basic kind of slightly trapezoid, only just a little bit off, kind of rectangular, and it's about 4 meters this way, a little over, and a little over sort of 3 meters this way. I'll go over the dimensions and how I came up with those shortly, but that's going to be the basic plan. It'll be the main end will be up here. This will be where our mixing desk and speakers are. Your window there, and this will be kind of the main body of the room. The door, over that way. Although that's not terribly important as far as acoustic goes, but that's the plan so far. So I guess we'll jump in and have a look at some specifics. Okay, so let's have a look at the basic plan for what we're about to build. So this is the studio floor plan, although it's probably going to change slightly, but I want to sort of give you a bit of an idea of the dimensions and sort of what I've chosen. So it's roughly sort of trapezoid shaped, and it's going to have a slope roof that sort of goes lower at the front and sort of slopes up towards the back. This is a sort of a rough idea of what it's going to look like, and sort of to give me a bit of an idea of how it's sort of going to look and the size of things. Of course, I'm going to have more acoustic treatment on it than this, but this is just a sort of a starting point. This is kind of just a free play around with this website. Actually, they let you kind of make some basic sort of 3D designs like this. Anyway, so it's roughly 4.5 this way and 3.5 this way. Those numbers are fairly important and will determine sort of the overall sort of acoustic properties with regard to room modes and resonances within the room. So the reason we sort of went with this sort of trapezoid shape was to help with flutter echo slightly, and also just give us a bit more room at the back. Maybe kind of a bit of an experiment too, to be honest. But there's a few reasons. But anyway, it's not really going to alleviate room modes. It's really just to kind of try and get the best sound possible in the room. In fact, that's kind of the principle of the room design that we're going with. It's sort of we're in quite a quiet rural setting, so thankfully we're going about quality of sound in the room as opposed to like completely dead. So how I come up with these basic measurements and the tools that I liked are these two. To start off with, a basic sort of room mode calculator, something like this, that it gives you some kind of analysis of those dimensions. The worst thing you can do pretty much is to make two dimensions the same or a multiple of. So for example, if this was also 430 centimeters, it changes our pattern of modes quite a bit, and what we're looking for is just kind of just an even distribution all the way up, so just evenly kind of spread out. They'll get more and more dense as it goes up. Bonello's criteria is probably quite a good one to look at, and the basic principle is that each frequency band should have a higher number of modes or the same as the previous band. And so you see in this situation here we have 2, and this one none here, 2 here, 4, so on. So back to where I was, my original plan, it follows this criteria and it sort of gets bigger each time. Also, bolt was another criteria we could look at, and ultimately choosing dimensions that sort of fall within this area will give you a favorable distribution of those room modes. Again, picking something exactly the same will push it quite far out of this bolt area. So these are two pretty quick and easy ways of sort of seeing if it'll work. Look for this kind of nice slope up here and see if it falls within this area. Additionally, I might look at these room modes and just kind of, again, just kind of see if there's anything anomaly, any sort of visual indication that there could be some sort of problems. A lot of these big red ones, a lot of them close together at a particular frequency might indicate some problems. So as you sort of push the room mode up, you'll see how they slowly start to change. And so we'll just look at one of these dimensions. If we wanted to go a little bit wider and a little bit longer, say, what's going to happen? So far it's looking okay. We're still within the bolt area and the curve is still fine. So we might end up going something like that. That's looking pretty good so far. Still smack bang in that area, so remember those numbers. Another website that sort of helped me with this and coming up with criteria is this one, and basically just sort of plots it on a graph with a couple of other recommendations with regard to those ratios. And it also lists some sort of well researched and, you know, commonly regarded as pretty ideal sort of room ratios. If you can find a room that fits within one of these. Our room in particular is kind of limited in terms of space what we've got. So I know we've roughly got 4 by 3 meters, and not really limited on the height, I guess, but sensibly we're going with about 2.5 at the midpoint. So let's say if the height was 250, got to remember the other one's in centimeters, the width will be roughly 3 point, well, I'm starting with 3.3 was my base point, and the length is 4.3 meters. Okay, so that puts my little dot down here, and if I compare it with, we already know that it complies sort of with, it's within the bolts recommendation, but additionally we have these other two, EBU and IEC, and equally my room ratios currently fall within those recommendations as well. If it was to fall within this kind of white area over here, that would be the equivalent of, say, a 2 meter by 2 meter room would be a square, say, and so it's going to fall within this white area, and that would be bad. So that's not really what we're after. We're after something that is not a direct multiple, like the walls aren't a direct multiple of the width and length or height aren't correlated in too much. So that's what we're looking for, and yeah, like I said, these are pretty good. So maybe we'll try. If I wanted to go a little higher, let's see what happens if I go quite a bit longer, should we say. Watch the dot. And still kind of within those, just on the edge of the EBU one there. So maybe we pull that back down. Just have to go and click these again each time, but it's not the worst. There we go. So I can see within my range here, I can go a little bit longer, which I'm actually kind of tempted to do. I've decided maybe after seeing this, and maybe after kind of just getting a bit of a feel for how big this desk is going to be down there, I want a little bit more room at the back. So I think someone famous once said, you know, there's no acoustic problems that can't be solved with a bigger room. So this weekend I'm hoping to get into the flooring. I've got a lot of the wood there, and so what we're going to do is something along these lines here for our wooden floor. The one little addition that we're going to use is we've got some joist tape, which is a thin foam tape. We're using Green Glue Company's joist tape, and so that'll go underneath these. So there'll be a little bit of foam underneath the plywood, which we've got is a 21mm. And then we're basically following this plan for the rest of it. Probably this cork underlay is kind of what we're swaying towards for a variety of benefits and so on, and not terribly priced. And yeah, with some kind of wooden floor, much like this, really, pretty much exactly as this picture shows. Walls will be pretty standard, probably double layer of ply. Maybe some sealant in between to kind of help with that deadening. And that's it for the moment. All right, stay tuned. See you soon.